Going?
Yeah. All right, you guys, it's Rob and Peter live from Buckeyes Battle Cry. We're doing its last minute show. Just had to get some stuff off our chest, as well as the countdown to the big game tomorrow. Ohio State hosts Indiana in the shoe. Top 5 showdown. Big Ten championship trip on the line. Uh, Ryan Day has a chance to change the narrative in terms of him being a head coach, being called Charmin Soft, not being able to win the big games. People saying that he's holding Ohio State back and nobody's had more talent than him and he's done less. He has a chance to rewrite the script. But first, Michigan NIL, all of a sudden, it's cool to spend all this money. Michigan is the biggest NIL cannon. Nobody can do better than us. But God forbid when teams were doing it before us. It was the worst thing ever. It was it, every all the teams were a social pariah. And it just like, oh, it's not fair. They all have this money. Ohio State's mercenary you. Nobody actually wants to go to Ohio State to play for Ohio State. They're just going for the money. And now all of a sudden they forget what they said. And it's cool that that Michigan has these big NIL collectives, and it's okay that all these players are coming for the bag and forget winning culture. What are your thoughts, Peter?
Bunch of hypocrites, man. Talking up both sides of their neck. That's what I think. Both sides. They're just lying, man. They're lying to themselves and they're lying about their program. Sherman Moore's been lying about the quarterbacks all off season. He thinks one quarterback's going to save the program. I don't think so.
What I don't understand is, Michigan fans use the word building a championship team. Building a championship team doesn't just involve money, it involves coaching as well. And right now, Michigan's coaches are trash. Sharon Moore, Kirk Campbell, Wink Martindale, he's okay. Yeah, the secondary coaches just they have they're like 90th to 100th in passing defense. I mean they want to and the thing is they want to call this a rebuilding year with about 4 first rounders on the defense side of the ball. They have a first rounder on the offense side of the ball. Donovan Donovan Edwards is going to get drafted. So if this year's a rebuilding year, what's next year going to look like? And it sounds like that they're not going to make that many coaching changes. I mean, I could be wrong, but you can't use the word building when you're literally buying all these players and you don't have a winning culture put in place. You don't have it's no longer we're better at developing. It's basically we're better at NIL now. Beat us. Well, here's the thing. When more teams, more programs are slowly but surely putting together their
Yep.
NIL collective, learning how to maximize it. What's going to happen when, teams who have actual good coaches, good assistant coaches, good position coaches, uh, maximize their NIL, they get all this talent. That's building. Right now, Michigan's just buying. Don't give me a break.
Ooh.
They're 5-5 right now. They're 5-5, and it's not looking much better. Now,
I like that. I like that. That's strong, bro.
I mean, God forbid that Ohio State loses to Michigan, but come on, like you can't just call Ohio State mercenary you and slam them for spending $20 million the
Right.
whole offseason on transfer portal players, top transfer portal players, having their roster stay intact to come back for another year, one more
Here's the
shot
thing.
at all 3 goals, and
Yep.
then spend $12 million on one player and say, well, we did it. It's okay.
It's fine now.
Let's forget about what we said. Let's rewrite the narrative. And if we say it enough times that NIL is cool, then everyone will forget what we said about it not being cool. It's just that we can do it now. We're gonna do it better. I just think that's nonsense.
I think it's BS, man. And here's the thing. Here's what I got to say, Michigan fans. Bring it on. Bring it on. Let's see what you got. Let's see what Bryce is all about. Who's going to be better? Tavion St. Clair, number 2 quarterback in the class, or number 1 quarterback in the class, Bryce Underwood? They're both freaks who can launch the ball. They have rocket arms attached to their shoulders, and they can run the football. I'm excited to see them battle out as they go against each other. The Bellefontaine, Ohio product chose Ohio State. The Belleville, Michigan product chose Michigan. We're going to see who's better on the field here either next year or 2 years from now.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think we're going to see it 2 years from now. I don't see Tavion St. Clair starting,
Me either.
For a season. I see Bryce Underwood starting because
clearly
Michigan was desperate to get their top quarterback. They spent $12 million. I mean, good. Kudos to them. They put up the money. That's fine. It is what it is. It's a new era of college football. But I am looking forward to that for the next. We won't get to see. Let's be honest. We won't get to see 3 years of it. We'll get to see 2 years of it. And
one thing I got to say real quick.
What's up?
Michigan got knocked off their high horse. They were saying we're better than NIL. We don't pay players to come here. We're transformational, not transactional. Shut up. Transformational, not transactional. No, be quiet, man. You're not transformational. Buckeyes have real life Wednesdays, okay? Every Wednesday, a CEO comes in or a leader in their field comes in and talks to the Buckeye players every Wednesday about how to be a leader in their specific field, a life applicable things. Ohio State cares about life beyond football and after football. It's that simple. Michigan does not.
Yeah, I mean, you have a good point, Peter. All off season I heard is we don't need NIL. Nobody develops better than us. We don't need it. We can do it better without it. And then all of a sudden, they're doing the same thing that these other teams were doing. I just, and all is well in college football. All is well in college football.
Crazy, man.
The hypocrisy is it's real. The hypocrisy is real. You want to call Ohio State mercenary use, how you forgotten. They're coming to play for the bag, especially the Emco Blowhard. Saying that they're miserable players coming to play for the bag. There's no winning culture. You know what I call that? Saying it over, no, they have no winning culture. I call it the big lie. If you say it enough, maybe, just maybe, people will start to believe it. Like the lie will become truth all of a sudden. To Michigan fans, sure, they drank the Kool-Aid, but now they're like, man, maybe we do have to pay players. Maybe we're not as good at developing. Because you know what? It's now for them, it's let's get rid of our coaching staff. Let's fire more.
Well, here's the thing. You said it perfectly. Better than I could say it. I was trying to say it, but I couldn't say it well. You said it great, man. You said Michigan had a high horse, a moral high horse. They convinced themselves of certain things regarding NIL. We don't need to play the game. We're Michigan. Well, guess what? You're 5-5, and guess what? You do need to play the game. You won't make the playoffs ever again? You need to make NIL a priority, not a secondary thing, Jim Harbaugh. Not a secondary thing, Sharon Moore.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I mean, we've awoken a sleeping giant in terms of NIL for them. Let's see how it plays out. Let's see if they bring in any coaches in the offseason. But at the same time, like, if Sharon Moore is smart, he'll look at what Jim Harbaugh did after 2020. He pretty much cleaned house after that. Like The only coaches who I saw familiar on the sideline was what was it? Mike Hart, and they got rid of what's his face? Josh Gaddis, who actually
Yep.
won the offensive coordinator of the year award in 2021, which was
Yeah.
surprising because that didn't that did not come to fruition at all when they played
Anywhere
Georgia.
else.
Anywhere else. I don't even know the dude exists anymore. But if he's smart, he'll learn from Jim Harbaugh. But here's the thing: they're not going to be a smash mouth football team anymore.
Do you think they didn't change their offensive identity, huh?
They have to with a quarterback like this. They have to. There's no way that Bryce Underwood puts up JJ stats in the national championship game and hands the ball off 30 times and throws for
Yeah.
149 yards, 0 touchdowns, and only
Yep.
throws the ball like what 20 times, and actually no,
That's
like
what they had to
10, 50
promise.
times in the game.
They had to promise that, right?
I mean, they had to.
Yeah.
But yeah, this could be another NIL experiment.
Could be.
It could be like
Right.
Miami. I still think for Miami that their NIL money is only going to get them so far. The coaches aren't put in place. What's his name? Mario Cristobal.
Yeah, Mario Cristobal. Well, hey, I'm going to
He
jump off here, man. I'll
all
let
right,
you go.
all right,
Keep
brother.
going, brother.
Yeah. So as I was saying, Mario Cristobal, he is not a good head coach. And NIL is only going to get them so far. With the Texas A&M NIL experiment, Jimbo Fisher was not trying to build a winning culture. He did not have the right coaches. He was solely depending on NIL. And yeah, we all know that Texas oil money is running high. It's endless. Fine. But the experiment failed. They had a really tout class. I think what 2021, 22. I think it was the best class in history. It was, over 300 points. But it failed. Now Michigan could have that same NIL experiment. They no longer have a winning culture. I don't want to hear about rebuilding seasons. We heard all off season that you're going to be the new Georgia. The coaches that were under Harbaugh, they're going to be just as good. They're going to be just as good at developing. Haven't seen it. And I don't want to hear about this as a rebuilding year. You have 4 first rounders on the defensive side of the ball. You have a first rounder on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah, sure. You don't have a quarterback. Well, you guys lied all offseason about how you did. But I'm gonna make a prediction. This NIL money is only gonna get them so far. Sharon Moore. Actually, no, wait. Michigan fans better hope Sharon Moore pans out. Because if he doesn't, if he doesn't turn out to be a good head coach, this is going to be a failed experiment. The NIL collective of Michigan alums, because I know Michigan alums. My nephew Garrett, he played at Michigan. And I remember during the 2018 Michigan Ohio State game when Michigan came to the shoe. They just got blown out the field. Literally, like the game was over before it began, and they were getting texts that like, why are we paying Harbaugh all this money? I know that years later it all worked out, but I don't think these Michigan alums are going to have much patience for the type of money that they are putting out. So this could be a potential fail. I mean, to be continued. It's all going to be up to what happens during the off season. Are they going to demote Kirk Campbell? Are they going to show him the door? Harbaugh wasn't afraid to show anybody the door. That's why they built the championship team, because they built the championship staff. And they were able to develop the players and put them in the right place at the right time to be successful. Hats off to Michigan for that. Possibly the best coaching staff of all time under Harbaugh, but that's gone. Let's see what this NIL money does for them. And if they pull it off, kudos. All right. So I rest my case on that. It's time to move on. Ohio State versus Indiana. Now, there was a lot of, I mean, this to me, this is a surprise matchup in terms of how much is on the line. Now, before the season started, I didn't really pay attention to who Indiana hired as a head coach. And I just looked in the schedule. I was counting the wins, counting the losses. And, before you know it, I'm like, this Indiana team seems a lot different. They're putting up like 45 points a game. They're almost shutting teams out. And then I see, oh my gosh, they hired Kirk Signetti, winning coach from James Madison University. Makes a lot of sense. Dude's a winner everywhere. Intense. If you look at him at the sideline when they're up 35-7, he still got his game face on. There's no smile for him. Really reminds me of Nick Saban. Just a leader of men, just a winner in life. And you know what? If he writes a book one day like Jim Tressel or Nick Saban or even Harbaugh, I'd read it, because he has a lot of good leadership qualities and probably have a lot of knowledge on how to navigate life and just be successful in general. Sorry, I got a cough. But now we're here. Indiana is their first 10-0 season under first-time head coach Kirk Signetti. He has led them to their first 10-0 season program history. Can they continue that success against the Ohio State Buckeyes? Now, again, I was saying that this is a top 5 matchup. It's at the shoe. The crowd's going to definitely be in it. For once in the shoe, it's actually going to be loud and rowdy. We haven't seen that in a while. A lot of teams that visited the shoe, Ohio State either blew them out, or the last 2 times that, actually, wait, no, I can't say the last time that Michigan visited. Yeah, it was rowdy, but hats off to Michigan. They pulled away the second quarter, and then it was just quiet. But I could see the fans staying in this game the whole time. Ohio State has that on their side. Buckeye Nation needs to show up. It needs to be as loud as Happy Valley. They all need to lose their voices by the end of this game. All right. Having that 12th man really makes a difference. But going back to what's on the line, a trip to the Big Ten championship is on the line. Oregon, they already have their spot locked up. They locked it up last game when they went into to Camp Randall, and they almost lost. I honestly thought they're gonna lose, but talent alone got it done. They have that one spot locked up. Now, I was looking up the tiebreaker scenarios, and if Ohio State wins this, Indiana, Ohio State, Penn State, I mean, providing that Ohio State gets it done against Michigan, and obviously they beat Indiana, there will be a 3-way tie. But if Ohio State beats Michigan, if you look at those head-to-heads, the difference is going to be that Ohio State beat Indiana and Penn State, and Penn State lost to Ohio State, and Indiana lost to Ohio State. Ohio State would get that tiebreaker, and they would have a chance of revenge at Oregon. So, again, a lot of implications. I mean, a lot is on the line. Big Ten championship game implications. So, what needs to happen during this game in order for Ohio State to win? There's one thing that I have not seen happen under Ryan Day. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say this. Ryan Day is a really nice coach. He's too nice. I don't think he gets the team fired up enough, especially in big games. I mean, I've seen it like once or twice. They came out swinging against Clemson, got up early, and then the same thing against Georgia. I mean, Ryan Day was out of his mind on the sideline, showing a lot of emotion, get the team pumped up. But I mean, it's not consistent enough. If you look back at Urban Meyer coach teams, there's quite some games where Urban Meyer's just like, I'm not messing around. We're gonna come out here. We're gonna step on your throats. We're gonna let you know we're here. We're not going away. We're not letting up. We're not letting you up for air. We're gonna knock your heads off. We are going to get up early, and we are just not going to let up. I have not seen that Ryan Day. They come out sluggish first quarter, then kind of get things going second quarter. They don't show a lot of emotion on the field. I think that rubs off from Ryan Day. I think that does. I mean, he's not soft, but I would say that he just doesn't know how to prepare his team to start strong and finish strong. That's what I would say about Ryan Day. So this is their chance to make a statement win, to show the country, to show the college football world why they should be among the elites in college football. Now, going to Ryan Day, there's been a lot of negative narrative surrounding him. He's Charmin soft. He's holding Ohio State back. He has more talent than anybody and does less. He's not a good motivator for the team. He's not a leader of men. Whatever you heard, not good about Ryan Day. He can't win the big games. He can't get it done against top 5 teams. Though that is true. I mean, it's kind of true. They got it done in Happy Valley a couple weeks ago. But the other thing is that I don't think he got enough credit for that win at Happy Valley. He did beat a top 5 team. I was at that game. Very hostile environment. Fans just it's your working class town where they work hard all week and show up in droves to cheer for their teams. It's that crazy. They say that that Pennsylvania, they say this about Pittsburgh. It is a drinking town with a sports problem. I would say that's true. But anyways, he got his top 5 win. Some said that they beat Penn State hasn't beat them since 2016. Though that's true, but this kind of it changes the narrative. They went into Happy Valley, hostile environment. They got a signature win. They played out of their minds on defense. A lot of goal line stops. Ryan Day usually, shows high emotion in terms of like not like angry, but oh no, I'm in trouble look on his face. It's time to panic. We may lose. I never saw that when they showed him on the Jumbotron. Never saw that look on his face once. So he's improved in that. I saw them go for it multiple times on fourth down. Haven't done that in past seasons. He's done it more than ever. So it's heading in the right direction. But again, going back to that, getting your team to play angry from beginning to end, that hasn't happened. But now is the time. If they want a chance to make a statement, I just don't want them to win. I want them to blow this team out. I want them to break their will. I want them to send a message that we're here. We belong among the elites. We didn't squeak out a win against a team with less talent that hasn't played a top 5 team until now. I want them to make a statement. Now, let's look at both sides of the ball. So, on paper, this team looks pretty evenly matched. Ohio State has the number 1 defense. Indiana has the number 2 defense. Indiana has the number 1 rush defense. Ohio State has the number 2 rush defense. Ohio State's really good in the red zone. Indiana, they're pretty good. Actually, no, Ohio State's really good in the red zone. They have the number 1 red zone defense in the country. It could turn out to be a defensive dogfight. I mean, you have questions on Ohio State's line. With Indiana's rush defense, they could really exploit that. It could be like the Nebraska game where Ohio State has trouble moving the ball on the ground, and they also have trouble moving the ball through the air because they can't good pass protection. I speaking of pass protection, I am really worried about Donovan Jackson. In games that I've seen, he has a lot of trouble dropping back into pass coverage. It seems like, he's just slow off the ball those first 2 steps back. And you can't really blame him. Hopefully he's improved it. I mean, he's played guard. He's never had to do that in drop back and pass coverage. He just, as a guard, you go forward, but he gets beat a good amount of time. So they could exploit that as well. They need to find a way to isolate. I think his name is CJ West, number 6, complete monster on the edge position. So I guarantee you they're gonna bring him. That dude's probably gonna play out his mind, and Ohio State needs to step up and isolate him. But here's the thing about Indiana. They may have a good defense, actually, really good defense, but do they have the offense to compete against Ohio State's defense? I mean, in my opinion, Ohio State's offense, they're too talented to not do anything during this game. They're going to get their touchdowns, they're going to get their scores, but can Indiana's offense keep up? But from what I've seen against Michigan, and by the way, Wink Martindale, I mean, he's had a kind of a rough go, but he coached a brilliant game, finding ways to scheme against that the Indiana offense that has put up 45.6 points per game, and they shut down their run game. They in the second half they made adjustments to limit their passing game. So it seems like that when there's a talent separation, because Michigan has, again, they have 4 first rounders on the defensive side of the ball. It seemed like Indiana ran into a talent gap issue, and it showed. They rushed for negative 2 rushing yards. I saw that stat pop up, and I'm like, man, that's rough. That really is. They couldn't figure out a way to move the ball against Michigan. And since Ohio State's offense is better, and we'll have to see how Jim Knowles schemes against them. I mean, they had the number 1 defense in the country, but he's known to give up a lot of, like, literally Georgia, Michigan both times, and Oregon gave up 400 plus yards total offense and I think 30 points. Unacceptable. So hopefully that tightens down. But again, that talent gap separation, they finally went up against a competent defense and they got shut down. But it's all up to the scheme that Jim Knowles draws out. But I think Ohio State will be fine. I think that they'll play lights out in the red zone. I mean that's literally their specialty. That's literally what got them wins against Penn State and Nebraska. They had goal line shutouts, fourth like literally. I was at that Penn State Ohio State game. That was a crucial turning point of the game with 8 minutes left. They Katron, I think it was Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, both top backs in college, tried to run it down Ohio State's throat 3 times. Couldn't do it. Fourth down pass got denied. And then there was the before halftime when Igbinosun really concentrated on the ball and intercepted it. And like that was a big stop as well. So it seems like Ohio State is really good at stopping offenses. Actually, no, it doesn't seem like it is stopping offenses when the field shrinks. So that's what they have going for them. So, what are my final thoughts? Indiana has had a nice run. They're ahead of schedule. Kurt Cignetti's a winner, but I think the talent gap is extremely exponential in this game. And again, it showed when Indiana's offense went against Michigan's defense. It showed. They couldn't really move the ball, and I think that's what's going to happen against Ohio State. They are not. They're going to get their stops against Ohio State's offense, but I don't think their offense is going to be able to keep up. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a dogfight. I'm not going to say that Indiana is going to get blown up by Ohio State. You got to respect this game. You got to real recognize is real, and Kurt Cignetti's done a nice job. But I just think that the talent gap is going to show just like it showed against Michigan. So my final score, I don't remember what I had on the team rivalry show. They collaborate with Michigan Voice of College Football, but I think it was 20. Yeah, it was 27-20. So that's my final prediction. Ryan Day gets his signature, another top 5 signature win. They inch closer to getting their revenge against Oregon in the Big Ten championship and possibly taking that number 1 seed from Oregon. That's my predictions. I think it's going to be a good game. I think Buckeye Nation needs to go to that game, get loud, show them what the shoe's all about, and the team better be fired up because you know what? One of their goals is on the line. Now, Ohio State came into the season with 3 goals. Beat Michigan, win the Big Ten championship, and win the national championship. All those players came back. Sawyer, JTT, Hamilton, Tyleek Williams, Ransom, Henderson, Junkins transferred in, Downs transferred in, McLaughlin. I heard hope he heals up soon. Will Howard transferred in, great leader by the way. And they came together. They have these 3 goals in mind. If they don't get it done, one of their goals will be gone, and Ryan Day's seat will get hotter. There's no excuse. 20 million NIL. They need to be fired up to get this done. All right, so before I get off the show, it's getting late. Got to get some rest for the big day tomorrow. But you know, I saw as much as I don't like the SEC. There's one team that I wanted to talk about, and that is the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, there was a lot of speculation when Nick Saban left the Alabama Crimson Tide and Kalen DeBear, took the reins. He is good on offense, but not really defensive minded. They got a top win against Georgia, who had a really good defense, by the way, and like Georgia's defense is really good. We all saw what they did to Texas. So Alabama got their top win, but then they played Vanderbilt at Vanderbilt, and they allowed, I think it was 45 points. They lost 45-40. And it was just like, what is going on with Alabama? This is inexcusable. And then they had a scare against South Carolina. South Carolina is actually a good team, though. So I think Alabama got a signature win against I think South Carolina is in close to the top 15. They I forgot who they came back against. Here, let me look this up real quick. I think it was the last like 50 seconds, and Sanders ran it. Rocket Sanders ran it in for Missouri. They were down against Missouri. Missouri had gotten a touchdown in the last I think minute 30, and then South Carolina comes down the field and gets the win. That was a good win for Alabama. But then they lost to Tennessee. And it's weird, they lost to Tennessee, but Georgia beats Tennessee, so it's just like it's still like a quality loss. But then all of a sudden you see a change in this team. You see that I almost said Jalen Hurts. Jalen Milroe, he's starting to play his best football. All right. He's looking like a better passer, better runner. I mean, dude, they went into Baton Rouge, not a very easy place to win at all. Hostile environment. I think I read on a blog, I think a fan blog of some talking about their experience in Death Valley. Like, I don't know, some fans were throw bricks. I mean, I don't know how much truth that holds, but I wouldn't count it out. I mean, SEC fans are crazy. Look at that Alabama fan back in 2011 after Auburn lost to and that was crazy. I don't know if you guys saw that 30 for 30, but an Alabama fan literally poisoned those trees where Auburn fans put toilet paper all over it after they beat Alabama. And that dude, I think he went to prison. But yeah, not an easy environment to win in. And Jalen Milroe balled out. He got 4 touchdowns. They won 45-7. So good signature win. So it seems like Alabama's hitting their stride. And I also read on the because I was wondering about the tiebreaker as well. And I also read that if Alabama wins out, they will have the tiebreaker. Because here's the thing: people were looking at Tennessee. Others were looking at Georgia. Even though Tennessee beat Alabama, they still look at head-to-heads. And even though Georgia beat Tennessee, Alabama beat Georgia, and Tennessee lost to Georgia. So I think at the end of the day, Alabama has the better quality win, and I read that they will get into the SEC championship against Texas A&M if they win out. Now, the last games that they have, I'm trying to see here. The last games that they have is, oh my gosh, they played Mercer last weekend. Your typical SEC FCS schedule games. Can't and especially like the last stretch of the year. I mean, that always pissed me off. But kudos to them for I I don't even know why the hell I'm saying kudos, but they play Oklahoma. Oklahoma's trash. They should win that. But then you have Auburn visiting Alabama. Uh, you can never count out teams in these rivalry games. Auburn gave them Alabama a scare last season, and then I think it was 2021 they gave them a scare as well. So Auburn gives Alabama a run for their money. I mean, even when they're average team, they still give them a run for the money. So that could be some type of upset alert. But again, Alabama's playing their best football. Jalen Milroe is playing out of their mind. It seemed like they're hit their stride. So I predict that they'll blow out Oklahoma. They'll get it done against Auburn. They'll get to the SEC championship game. And here's my prediction. And you know what? It's a wild time in the SEC. I never thought we'd see a year where pretty much almost all top SEC teams. I mean, the race is so tight right now for this SEC championship game and who's in it. Like I've never seen it where it's this tight. Good amount of teams have 2 losses. It's unreal. It reminds me of it's like watching Big Ten basketball. You have all these good teams in the conference. They beat each other up, but they make each other better. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna make the prediction. I think that Alabama beats Texas in the SEC championship game. I don't care what anyone says. I called my shot on Georgia beating Texas, uh, even though it was at Texas. And I was right. I said that Georgia's defense will get it done. Don't count them out. Don't count Kirby Smart out. They got it done. I'm calling the same thing for Alabama. They're playing their best football right now. And I think that they'll rise to the occasion. And not because of their defense. Oh, believe me, their defense is gonna give up they're gonna give up points. But I think that Jalen Milroe has really learned how to lead this team. And he's going to rise to the occasion as well. But all right, that's all I've got. Can't wait for tomorrow. It's gonna be a big day for Ohio State football. I hope they get that top 10 win. Buckeyes battle cry out. Go Bucks.